about our Navratri. I know you've been sitting very long, so I will not speak for very long to cause you any more discomfort. Navratri, as you may know, means 9 nights, nine Ratri nights. And it is one of the most important events on our Hindu calendar. There are at least two important occasions in the calendar when we celebrate Navratri. This is the spring Navratri, Chaitra Navratri, and then in the fall we have Sharad Navratri. And it is a very special time for worshipping God as Devi Mata, as the Divine Mother. So this evening I want to speak a little bit about what I would call the universal significance of Navratri. Its importance for all human beings, not only for the Hindu community, because all Hindu festivals are meant for all human beings. They're meant to help us grow to become better human beings, better members of our communities. And if at the end of Navratri we are inspired to change and to grow, then the festival has fulfilled its purpose. So this is the question: what is special about Navratri, and how does it help us to become better human beings? So as the puja was performed, you would have noted the many forms of the Divine Mother that were worshipped tonight. Each night has a special form that is the focus of our worship. But the three most important forms of the Divine Mother in all Navratris is Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. And Navratri teaches us through these three great forms. So let us begin with Durga Mata. Durga Mata is associated with power and energy. As you can see, she rides the tiger. And to ride a tiger, you have to be a person of power and control. So we seek her grace in life for strengthening our wills, for self-determination, for the freedom to shape our own destiny. She represents that freedom that we each want to have control and mastery of our lives, to determine our own destinies. Whether you are an individual or you are a nation, we all wish to control our lives. We don't want to be dominated or to be controlled by others. And that is what Durga represents. Even in the United States, in our Declaration of Independence, we speak about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty is control over one's destiny. The second form is Lakshmi Mata. And if Durga Mata represents self-determination, Lakshmi Mata, as we all know so well, represents abundance, prosperity. The Hindu tradition recognizes the importance of wealth. It's a very, very significant goal in our lives. When wealth is justly acquired and used properly, it's a great blessing. We do not think of wealth in negative ways. So we cannot separate Lakshmi from Durga. Why? Think about it. You are never independent unless you are economically independent. You may claim to be independent, but if you are not economically independent, you are still very dependent. So we need Lakshmi, because freedom is fragile if you depend economically upon others. Poverty is a form of powerlessness across the world. And power, Durga, is incomplete without Lakshmi, Lakshmi represents economic independence, economic self-reliance. And if you look at, in fact, one of the beautiful things about the altar here at Gayatri Mandir is that the feminine forms of God outnumber the male forms. If you count carefully, you will see that there are many more divine mothers on the altar than divine fathers. But if you look carefully, while Lakshmi Mata represents wealth, look very carefully at her form, and you see that she has 4 arms. Wealth flows only from one of her arms. In 2 of her arms, she holds the lotus, and then one arm is in the form of a blessing. What is the point? The point is, wealth must be guided by purity. Lotus represents purity and goodness. Wealth is not an independent goal of life. It must be guided by purity, by virtue, by spiritual values. There's a very beautiful line in Mahabharata. Artho dharmena samyukta. Artho dharmena samyukta. Wealth must always be united with goodness. Artha, wealth, dharma, virtue or goodness, samyukta. These must always go together. So Durga and Lakshmi complement each other. And of course, the third is Saraswati Mata. So think about it. While power, Durga, and wealth, Lakshmi, are important, they must always be guided by wisdom, by knowledge, Saraswati. If you put power and wealth in the hands of a person who lacks wisdom, you would have a very corrupt human being. So power and wealth, Durga and Saraswati must always be accompanied. Durga and Lakshmi must always be accompanied by Saraswati. When power and wealth are guided by wisdom and knowledge, then these will be used for the well-being of others and not to inflict suffering on other human beings. So the universal message of Navratri is this need for balance. Power, wealth, wisdom. These are 3 ladies you need in your life. You need one wife. But if you have these 3 ladies with you, then all of your needs are fulfilled. Knowledge must guide power and wealth. Acharya Ji recited, and we all know those verses very well. They are very popular verses at the time of Navratri. We recite the verses of Devi Mahatmya. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. Every verse begins with those 3 words. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. And then you have a series of words. Daya Rupena, in the form of compassion. Matru Rupena, in the form of mother. Shakti Rupena, in the form of energy. But the first 3 lines of every verse begins Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. And then the virtue is mentioned. And this is so important. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. We worship the Divine Mother who exists in all beings. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. Not ever to be forgotten. If the Divine Mother that we worship is Sarvabhuteshu, each one here, each one of you, existing in each one of us, what does this mean for us? It means that we cannot honor her as mother and dishonor her in any way. We do not worship a Divine Mother who exists outside of human beings. She is Sarvabhuteshu. She is the one. Ishvara Sarvabhuteshu Viddeshe Arjuna Tishtati, Bhagavad Gita chapter 18. We cannot respect her and disrespect each other. We cannot praise her and abuse each other, because to abuse each other is to abuse the divine that exists in each one of us. When we worship a Divine Mother who is present in all, our worship, our puja cannot be separated from how we treat each other. So Navratri reminds us of this truth. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu. Never to be forgotten those three words. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu. But in a very special sense, because we are worshipping for these 9 nights the divine in the form of the Divine Mother, Navratri is also a reminder to honor the women in our families, to honor the women and the girls in our family. We cannot worship the divine as Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and dishonor women. There's a very beautiful verse in our tradition. Yatra naryastu pujyante, ramante tatra devata. Where yatra naryastu pujyante, wherever yatra, women, naryastu pujyante, wherever women are honored and treated with dignity and respect, ramante tatra devata, there God delights. The divine delights when women are treated and with respect and dignity and when they are honored. But the second verse is, yatraitastu na pujyante, but in those places where women are not honored, not respected, sarvastatra phala akriya. Human actions do not produce good results. They do not produce good outcomes. There is failure, society collapses where women are not honored. So where women are honored, there God delights. Where they are not honored, actions become fruitless. So Navratri is a very fitting occasion when we think of the social significance of Navratri. It is also a time to think of the ways in which we are violent to women, to think about domestic violence. Because domestic violence is a form of disrespect towards women. One of the many ways in which women are dishonored. On a global scale, the World Health Organization tells us that 1 out of 3 women experience violence, domestic violence in the homes. In the United States here it's a serious and widespread problem. So let us worship, perform our beautiful pujas on the 9 nights of Navratri, but also educate ourselves. It's a time for action. Whatever we can do to end violence in our families, in our communities, in our world. So what do we take away tonight? Navratri teaches us that a meaningful life requires this balance. The balance between power, independence, wealth, and knowledge. Wisdom. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, they are here on our altar. And true worship of the Divine Mother is not only in our prayers and our pujas, these are important, but in how we treat each other, especially with respect and compassion. When we honor the Divine Mother, when we honor her presence in each other, we also honor her in ourselves, in each other, and ourselves. Because this is the purpose of life, to express the divine that dwells in each one of us. So thank you for inviting me to share these reflections. May Devi Mata bless us all with strength, with prosperity, with wisdom, and may we express her presence in how we treat each other with respect, with reverence, with loving dignity. Jai Durga Mata. Before I pass, I wanted to introduce my dear special friend, Dr. Jen Kilps. Could you stand there? I invited Jen here because I've been working with her for many, many years. Jen is the executive director of our Minnesota Multi-Faith network, and she wanted very much to come and to meet all of you and to be here tonight. And I hope this will be the first of many visits that Jen would make. So welcome, Jen.